All right, so welcome to another Faith in Baseball conversation. I'm joined by Quentin Holmes. I should say Pastor Quentin Holmes. Not really pastor, still professional baseball player in the Indians organization, outfielder. But I'm telling you, this guy, when his long, extended baseball career is done, you're going into ministry, man. You know that, right? You're going to be a bad. I keep trying to speak that. I keep trying to speak that into you because stuff that you're doing is incredible. I'm sure we'll get into some of that. But thank you for being a part of this and being willing to meet and have this conversation, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I was out in Arizona last month and we were able to touch base briefly. I got to tell you, dude, every time I see you, you look cooler and cooler. You keep getting cooler. And maybe it's because I'm getting older and I'm not as cool as I was. And, dude, you're hitting the weights a little bit, huh?
I try. It was hard this summer for sure. But, just staying on some type of routines.
Right.
Eating a lot more.
You didn't have the access to the weight room and stuff.
Yeah, no, I was lifting in my living room
oh my
the
gosh.
whole summer pretty much. So that was fun.
Right. Your Instagram videos with that stuff were incredible, man. Just taking like whatever random objects like water jugs, things like that, just putting it in. I love it.
Got to be creative.
That's the minor league grind and dedication, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So you're an outfielder in the Indians organization, and we actually got connected I think through Brad Jones, who's the chaplain of the Lake County Captains, right? Isn't that how we got connected?
Yeah, I think in spring training we met.
Spring training, yeah. And then reconnected
just continued
through
after
Brad. Right. And so it's been fun getting to know you more and more the last couple of years, getting to have conversations like this about life and God and everything that's going on. And I got to tell you, man, and we'll get into some of your story and things that God's doing, but you are one of the greatest sources of encouragement to me in my own faith, man, to see how you chase after God and how you're pursuing him and all the stuff that he's doing in your life, like inspires me and encourages me. So I just want to say that up front. In many ways, just a big thank you.
Man, no, the guys like you and Brad that have been in my life this past 2 years have definitely made more of an impact than I can even explain. So I appreciate it.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
Even from afar, man. So so we were out in spring training, which seems like forever ago. End of February, March seems like a lifetime ago at this point in 2020, and then everything just shut down, right? But you stayed out in Arizona all summer, battling the 120 degree temperatures, continuing to grind, and now in California. So, talk a little bit about what that's been like, this year. And, I imagine in the minor leagues, you want to play, you want to be seen, you want to showcase what you got. Not being able to do that, I'm sure, has brought a whole bunch of difficulties for you.
Yeah, this summer has definitely been a life-changing one, I'll say for sure. Started out with, I decided to stay in Arizona once the virus got pretty bad in New York. So it was either stay in Arizona with some of the international guys that couldn't make it home because their borders closed. So I was able to stay out there in our team apartments. It was a pretty nice apartment, had the whole place to myself. So I was like, all right, I'll just stay out here for a little bit. I have my car. I have some family members out there, a few friends. So I was like, I could do this for a while. And I like Arizona. I've been out there for 3 or 4 years back and forth. So I enjoyed it out there for the most part. And then, this summer was a lot of up and down. It was a lot of, the gyms were closed. So I was working out in my living room and having to get creative. I had these 2 5-gallon water jugs that I was using. They were about.
See, I didn't make that up.
Yeah, no, those were my heaviest weights that I had. I used those probably every other day. So I got into that. The gym's open for a little bit and I started going, and then I was like, this gym, it was like a small little gym, probably the size of like a bathroom. And there were too many people going in there for me to feel comfortable, and it wasn't being cleaned properly. So I was like, I'd rather just work out in my living room. So I got more creative with that. And then luckily the facility across the street was still open, but guys weren't allowed in there. But the team gave us a few weights and stuff, some bands to all the guys that were staying at the apartments, trying to help us out, get in our work however we could. So I had a
do
few
whatever you
days.
can.
Yeah, and then I used the med ball. We had a med ball with a huge weighted ball, and my boy Billy and I, we were working out with that probably twice a week, and we'd go to the sand volleyball courts, play med ball volleyball, just launching it back and forth over the net. I mean, it was a complete. That was probably one of the best. Those were the best workouts we had all summer. Was going out there and playing med ball volleyball, just because it was a full body workout, and you're grinding in the sun. You got sand all over the place. You're sweating, so every time you fall, the sand sticks to you. It was a really good time though, and we always had the courts running 7, 8 in the morning, and nobody else would be there. So
because in Arizona in the summer, that's the only time you're getting a workout in. What sounds enjoyable and fun to you sounds completely miserable to me. But good for you. That's why you're the pro athlete.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of. That's how I spent my birthday. Yeah, I had a birthday this summer, so I spent my birthday. That was the first time we played med ball volleyball. Was in July, and we were out there just getting after it. And that was the first time when we adjusted. After that, it became like a real competition between us because we were pretty equally matched. And then we would have this 12-pound ball, and it was a lot. We played probably 27, 25 matches from July all the way.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
not that you're keeping track or
yeah, no, we
that,
definitely
so, right.
Yeah. The series unfortunately ended 11-10, and Billy was on top our series, but we had a couple people other times come in and play, so we definitely were out there a lot. But every time we'd be there 7, 8 in the morning, just because by 10 o'clock it's 110 already, so we get in there, get out. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and just having to work out in my living room all the other days was interesting.
Do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do.
It was the only thing I could do to not get bored working out in my living room was to literally switch my workouts every time. Like every time I would write up a new program for myself, just so that I was working with the rehab coach a little bit as well with some of those things, but just making up new workouts, different workouts, switching stuff in and out, just so I can keep it interesting in my own life.
That's it.
And then we were able to get on Billy's high school field and hit. So we would hit on the field there sometimes, throw over there. We started doing some tire flips and pushing his truck just to get like an extra workout. That was also a really good workout on this dirt road right behind the high school. We would just push his Ford truck and get a good leg workout out of that, and then flip some tractor tires across the football field, just to find anything out of the ordinary to spice up the routine a little bit. So yeah, it was a lot of fun being out there. Having to work out in the morning or late at night was obviously a scheduled thing, because he had his whole life to do. He had a job and was having a kid, so we had to like schedule things, and literally every day things would change. And then you add in the team meetings that we would have 4 or 5 days of the week. So we had to
on Zoom.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just bringing you right back on the Zoom. I'm sure you're so sick of it, just like everyone else at this point.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was, but we had to make it work. That's part of the job, not just working out and playing baseball. Since we didn't have team meetings in person, we had to cooperate with everyone. So getting into those team meetings on Zoom were big, and just like you talked about, being able to perform and show up for the guys, that was the only thing that we could do, is in the form of showing up, was being on those meetings, sending in videos to our coaches of us that was working out. That was every week. I had to go get a camera from the video guys at our facility, because I had no more space on my phone from all the videos. So I got like a professional camera with a tripod and everything to record everything. That's
it. For people that don't know, this is the life and this is the grind of the professional athlete. Particularly in baseball. Yeah, just slugging out, doing what you got to do in the minors. So I appreciate you sharing that. And you had mentioned, I want to get into your story a little bit. You mentioned, not staying out in Arizona, not heading back to New York. So you're from New York. Tell us a little bit about what life was like for you growing up. Grew up in New York. We obviously want to talk about things that God's done in your life and is doing in your life. So as part of that upbringing, were you involved in church? What's the connection with baseball? How did all that kind of come together and merge together for you?
Yeah, so from New York City in Queens, right near LaGuardia Airport, and growing up, when I was younger, we'd go to church, and I started playing baseball when I was about 4. I have an older brother; he's 3.5 years older, so I was pretty much following his footsteps all throughout my life, honestly, until right after high school. So yeah, we went to church till I don't even know what age, but I was young when we stopped going. I think baseball just might have just been in the way. We tried to travel a lot for some of our tournaments and stuff, and I mean, we still had a love for God within our house, I feel like, and we just didn't go to church and support it as much. My dad used to go all the time when he was younger, so it's always in the family. And so then we go for middle schools. There were schools there was one school that was right near me, but the education and just the layout of the school was not what my parents wanted to have me. So I ended up going to a school about 20 minutes away in Flushing, Queens. And that was the Queens College School for Math, Science, and Technology, and it sounds super fancy, and it was a really nice school. I actually loved it. It was a super diverse school. I mean, you had every nationality you could think of, all the teachers, students, everything. That school shaped me a lot. And I mean, I can remember conversations with my English teacher because he was a baseball guy, and just talking about how I was going to play professional baseball, and he like believed in me, and all the other teachers did as well. So it definitely
makes a difference, right?
Process. Yeah, not even just for baseball, but for my learning process, having teachers that actually believed in my dreams and the things I wanted to do. I always hear stories of guys that say like their teachers said they're going to be nothing and they have to think of a real job. They can't just play sports. And I'm like, I'm so glad. I'm so thankful I never had to deal with that, because all my teachers growing up were like, I'm rooting for you. I can't wait to watch you on TV, all those things. And those were the things pushing me forward, honestly. So kept playing baseball throughout middle school. And then picking a high school was an interesting choice, because again, there were our district schools, which were the education wasn't as good as my parents had wanted for me. So somehow my brother ended up going to a Catholic school, which is like a really small school, McClancy. So he ended up going there after he transferred out of Springfield, which was like probably another 25 minutes away, but also in a pretty bad neighborhood. So he transferred out of there, went to the Catholic school, and we're not Catholic. So it was more for the education and just being in a great environment. So after he went there, I started looking at more private schools to go to myself. There were a bunch of other Catholic schools we were interested, but ended up going to McClancy. I was able to play varsity my freshman year. So I think that was like what really sold us, was being able to go there for baseball, get a good education. And then that's really when I think God started like pulling at my heart. 'Cause we had religion classes 2 or 3 days out of the week. It'd be a rotating schedule with gym class. So we'd have religion classes. So I'd be learning about everything about Jesus and the Bible, all those things. So that's when I really started to be more interested in what God had to say, like what God had for me. So that was the first, I think going to high school was like the first time cognitively that I was able to understand and process anything that was being said about Jesus, about what God did for us. So
that happens, and then you're playing through high school, and you get drafted out of high school, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that. You're 18 years old, right?
So I was 17.
You were 17 then. Yeah, 17 years old. Like, what does that do? Was there a piece of it's like, all right, this is great, I'll talk to you later, God, sort of thing? Like, how did all that come about? Like, what's some of like the difficulty of being 17 years old? Major League Baseball team drafts you, is interested in you. That's gotta be so difficult.
Yeah. It wasn't. For
incredible,
me,
but difficult, right? Yeah.
Yes, it was amazing, but I had at that point, there was a lot of stuff that I was already doing independently, like going to the gym, getting my workouts in the morning, going to practice. I started driving, so there was taking care of myself, doing my own laundry, learning to cook. So all these things I was able to do independently, and then being able to having to go out to Arizona and live on my own. it definitely would have been a huge shock. But then throughout high school, all those things that God were pulling me towards. And then once I got to pro ball, it kind of really jumped at me. So I started going to chapel, which I hadn't gone to in high school because obviously, well, we had mass, and that's when everybody in the whole school went. But it was kind of a little different. And then when I heard the opportunity of chapel, I was like, okay, like I'll go check it out. And that was one of our coaches that was really into it and pulling us in there as well. So I started going to chapel. It was like a small group, maybe 10 guys and one or two of the coaches, and it was just a comfortable environment. It was comfortable. It was a peaceful environment. It was kind of like, for me, an escape from all the things that I was going through on the field, off the field, whatever it was. Whenever I went to chapel, I just had a certain peace. So being able to do that, my first year was big, and then the chaplain was talking about if guys want to get baptized, he's more than willing to do it. Hit him up, and I was thinking about it since then. That was 2017. I was really, really thinking about it because I didn't know if I had been baptized. I knew we were, but I wasn't clear on if I wanted to do it myself or not. So I got to the point where I was like, it's something that God's pulling on my heart that I need to, I guess, renew and do it on my own so that I can be firm in this. And so, yeah, throughout, I started carrying my Bible. That was when I got my first Bible, like my personal Bible was 2017, going to chapel, and continued to go ever since. And I met some guys in 2019 in January, early February, and just seeing what those kind of guys were like in the minor league system, seeing those guys and just saying, where do I want my life to go? Which way do I want to walk in? Seeing those guys that were rooted in Christ and knowing that's the type of person I want to be. I want to be a part of this community. So
I love that. So it's like you get drafted, and experience like, okay, get drafted, like probably one of the highlight moments of your life, at this point. And, so many people that even if they have a foundation of faith or relationship with God, tend to put that on the back burner, in pursuit of this career and this passion, this dream that they've had since they were kids. And so it's incredible to hear, like, yeah, all that happens for you, but also your relationship with God, like, continues to grow, continues to thrive. And I do want to hit on that, the baptism that you brought up, because I was honored to be a part of that. And that was an incredible moment. That was the last day that you were in Cleveland, getting ready to head back to New York at the end of last season. Yeah. And through Brad, again, who's the chaplain with the captains, your family was able to be there. So I got to meet all of them and just kind of celebrate that baptism at the lake. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was definitely a humbling and a life-changing experience for me, just knowing that I was renewed in Christ and that my family was there to witness it, and they supported me throughout it all. That's been the biggest thing for me in my entire life, was my parents, my brother, everybody supporting whatever decisions I chose to make. So then me being able to do that baptism, especially with Brad, who was such a huge part of my growth in faith throughout the 19 season, because he was our home chaplain. So I probably still only saw him maybe twice a month on Sundays, but still just having him there. And that's also when we started our Bible study group. That was when we started. The first one was around those few weeks in early September. It was the idea of Brad's, where he did it with some of his church people, was the SOAP idea, which is SOAP stands for Scripture, Observation, Application, and Prayer. So finding different scriptures every week to go through and just writing down, speaking on things we've observed, how we can apply it to our lives, and then praying over those things. So I started doing that with a few of my teammates. We started that in September, and I think it started with 2 of us, and then moved on to 3, and then that guy invited another guy and another guy and another guy. And by the time March came, we had 15 guys in our group. And it was, to see the growth that happened within that group was amazing.
That's why I call you pastor, man. That's it. Well, which is incredible. And you're a humble guy, but you're one of the guys leading that. spearheading that, like, so you had this baptism experience and like you said, kind of renewed your faith, which by the way, like incredibly beautiful baptism. Like it was
Yeah.
awesome, but also one of the funniest baptisms I've ever
That was the
done because
perfect part.
we did it. We did it at this lake in the back of the church's property, and you kind of like sunk into the mud. I think your flip flops are still out there.
Both
I
of them
probably owe you a pair of
were
flip
gone.
flops still at this point. But oh man,
Was,
we like Brad had to do it like so quick with you in hopes that like we could get you back up. Man.
Yeah, it was perfect symbolism too, because those were those flip flops I lost were. I mean, I've been wearing them for a couple years, so my old life was dead, and I left it in that,
truly.
that lake,
Old flip flops gone,
came out brand new.
In, right?
Yeah, it was perfect.
That's so funny. So like with you have that, renewed faith, as you said. The old's gone, the new's come to life, and dude, you are running with it. So yeah, I knew, as we would text and we'd talk that you had this Bible study going, but I don't think I realized how much you were spearheading that and driving that, and so when we were out in spring training this last month, March, and I was able to come to it, you said that was the first time that the guys like gathered in person. So you got this rolling, generated this community, helping each other, growing their faith all over FaceTime, Zoom, like, whatever digital platform in the off season, which is just unbelievable. And you're still continuing to do stuff. So talk about what that's meant for you. Because some of the other guys I've had conversations with in these faith and baseball conversations have talked about the importance of having that community, especially in baseball. In a normal non-2020 year, you're gone. How many months? 8-9 months of the year, and so you're not able necessarily to be a part of a local church and community. And so that, like you talked about chapel and Bible studies, things like that become important. So talk about what that community in particular is meant to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a huge help in pushing me forward with advancing the kingdom of God, just being able to share insight and learn so much more about the Bible, and everyone coming from different backgrounds within our group and having different perspectives on all the things we read. Just learning not even just about the Bible, learning about the lives of people from all over the country. We got guys from Texas, guys from, Oklahoma, whatever it is. There's just so many different attributes to being in a group. And right now there's 6 of us in one group, and everyone's just going through their own thing. One guy's married with a young son, and one guy's just recently married in January. And it's just everyone has a completely different story coming from all over. And we've been able to share our love for God through all of our studies and been able to grow and learn together, and watching some of them learn so much throughout the few months that we've been doing this has been just amazing. And then me wanting to continue to grow that and continue to allow that opportunity for other people all over the place has just been, I just feel so much comfort in that group. No matter what's going on outside of that group, I come into the group and it's just, I don't have to think about the world. My phone's sitting on the side, so I'm not scrolling on social media or anything. We're just sitting in the Bible, talking about life, talking about all these amazing things that God's doing in our own lives.
Yeah,
so it's
so good. And the encouragement and the challenge, because I know you guys challenge one another and stuff, but that encouragement and that community is just so important, not just to you as a professional athlete, but to anyone. Like it's I've said this before and I'll continue to say it, like the Christian life is not a solo sport. We're not meant to do it by ourselves. We're meant to do it with other people in community. And dude, you've like found the secret of that, not just found it, but you're leading it and bringing other people into it. And so I'm just so proud of you for that, man. You're doing incredible, Pastor.
It's just, that whole group that I'm with now, everyone's leading it. We actually rotate each week. We rotate whoever leads it, and everyone's just been able to grow. And I feel like at some point we're just all going to branch off and have our own small groups to lead by ourselves, which is the point. That was kind of when we started this in March. The idea was to grow as leaders so that we can continue to spread and advance the gospel in our own environments and our own sections, whatever it is.
Multiply it out, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Like when we're all going to be on different affiliates next year. So being able to have our own groups at whatever affiliates we're at is going to be huge, I think.
Yeah. And we'll pray there's no more pandemic in 2021.
Yeah.
Looks a little more normal.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of that, I mean, you've already hit on how much the pandemic and just 2020 in general has impacted you from a playing standpoint with COVID-19, how that's just kind of shut everything down. And you and I have talked about just racial tension in our country right now, and what's going on with that. And it's just been a heck of a year on a number of levels and a number of different angles, and so but I've also found that in the middle of the difficulty and the tension and the brokenness and things that come up that are just unexpected, God's still at work. God's still doing stuff in us and other people. It's opportunities to come alongside people, even if it's from a safe social distance, to have conversations, dialogue, things like that. And I would love to hear from you, whether it's through some of the difficulties or conversations you've navigated, like what have you seen for you personally, like God do in your life or in your world throughout this year?
Yeah. I mean, first, our team, the Indians, have been able to do multiple calls where we'll discuss racial injustice, and everyone can speak freely on whatever they're feeling in their hearts. And we've had a few calls where it's just a learning experience for a lot of the guys that don't know what a Black man would go through day to day in life, having to worry about being stopped by the police and fearing for my life. I mean, there's just so many things we've been able to speak about, and I feel like it's been great that I don't know if the conversations would have been the same if we were in person. I don't know if people would have been as comfortable to speak on those things, but luckily we had them on Zoom. So you're sitting in your house, an environment you're comfortable, so you can speak on anything you please. And then just God brought a lot of people into my life that needed something from me, needed to hear a comforting word from God that he spoke through me, or even people that I needed a little reassurance or a little push of faith. So God was just throwing people in my life that I could help, that I could touch just for a little bit for the summer, whatever it was. I've been able to reach a lot of people. I think a lot of amazing friendships have grown from the people that God has put in my life throughout this summer. Started with we went to the Bible studies in March with the UPI guys, and they had these little books that had devotionals in it. So I would post them on my Instagram stories every day, and people were writing to me like, "What's this book? I want this book. How do I get it?" And I was able to send out the book to a bunch of people. So I mean, there was probably like 15, 20 books that I sent out. So I was able to, that's bringing the word to people all over the country just from me posting something on my Instagram story. So just being a part of that community and continuing to be able to spread the word however I can, whenever people need it from my story. That's why I'll post a lot of things, random things on my stories, just so that whoever needs it can scroll by and take what they need, and hopefully pass it on to the next person.
Yeah.
It's been a great summer for sure.
It's great to hear, what God's been doing, in the middle of that. I don't know if you heard that. My son Judah just ran into the room. He's not light on his feet, so
I heard a little.
That's funny. So yeah. Oh, here he is. You want to say hi, Judah?
Hi.
What's
Hi.
up, big man?
Hi. All right. Say bye-bye, bud.
Hi.
Bye. Okay.
All
All right. Go back with mama, bud. I told you, man. You never know what's going to happen. Three kids now. It's always a wild card.
Oh yeah.
But even in what you shared, like, those stories and those experiences that you have, good and bad, like God uses that. And I love that, like, whether it's on social media, whether it's in conversations with people, whether it's in Zoom conversations, like, you continue to use that platform, I would say, that God's given you to make much of him, to step into those relationships, step into those difficult conversations, to share your story of what he's done in your life, what he's doing in your life, you know, and continues to do to bring him honor and glory, and to hopefully, you know, draw interest in other people to God, you know, and that relationship that God so desperately wants to have with them. And so, yeah, it's just so inspiring and encouraging to hear you speak on a number of those things that you've even shared in this conversation. So as we wrap up here, if you had to give kind of one word of encouragement or thought, or if there's a scripture or something that you would want to share with whoever might be watching this, you know, is in the middle of 2020 still, you know, pandemic, everything else continues to go on. Like, what is it that maybe you'd want to share, encourage some people with?
Yeah, I mean, what the my favorite verse that I learned last season was Romans 8, verse 28. For we know God works all things for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So just being able to remain faithful and confident that God is working all things for our good when we remain faithful to him. So throughout all things, meaning all the good things and all the bad things. So going through a tough season, just knowing that God is bringing you strength throughout it and bringing you in contact with people. That was the biggest thing I've learned these last few years was people. We need people to be on our side. We need to be on the same side as people. We need to love each other. We need to fight for each other. And people has been loving people specifically has just been the biggest theme that I found. So knowing that everything that God's doing is allowing you to love people and to continually grow. And that's all the time, in the good times and in the bad times.
Man, that'll preach right there, Pastor. That's it. Dude, I cannot wait till you have your own church someday. Again, after a long, successful baseball career.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'll be there, man. I'll be there. Hey, thank you for stepping into this and just having this conversation. You know, like I've told you, and like I'll continue to say, I think the world of you. Proud of you. I have so much, you know, just respect for you and all that you're allowing God to do in your life and through your life, you know, and that shirt that you're wearing, be disciples, make disciples. That's just not a shirt you're wearing. You're living that out, man. And I'm thankful for it, you know, and so many other people are thankful for it. So yeah, thanks for the conversation, brother.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I hope someone needs this today. That's for sure.
I'm sure it'll bless someone, man. All right, Q. Thanks, brother.
All right, Mike. I appreciate it.